Hello, it's Rebecca here from Precious Pages Papercraft, and today I'm creating a layout for Mixed Media Mayhem. Now, it's been a long time since I've been able to join in with the girls and have a bit of Friday fun, so really excited to be joining in today with the Mixed Media Mayhem crew. We've got a lovely sketch designed by Jessie, which is right up my street. It's sort of heavily clustered in the bottom right hand corner, which leaves for a lot of white space on the rest of the page, which really suits my style. I love to have lots of white space, so I was really excited by the sketch. And it's got brickwork in the background, which again I love, and I've actually got a stencil of brickwork, and I thought I'd use that. But when I sat down and started having a play and deciding what I wanted to use, I've pulled out the July 2022 hip kits and a photo of my little boy sat among some cactus or cacti, I'm not sure what the plural is there, on a big rock. And I felt like this stencil that I'm using here from Hip Kit Club, it's kind of like a geometric floral pattern, but it really reminded me of cactus and the little flowers you get on them. So I went with that one instead. And I've used some white texture paste by Ranger through that stencil. I've just kind of done the outer area. I've not bothered with the middle section, you can just about see there, because my photo is going to cover that area. So just done some areas that are going to show around my photo and embellishments. And apologies, for some reason my video has skipped there, but all you've missed me doing is drying it with a heat gun, so probably not a bad thing. But like I said, I'm using the July 22 hip kits, which were quite heavily like cowgirl and country themed. Lots of sort of cowboy things and cactus and things like that, so it's perfect for my photo. So I've pulled out the chipboard words, get my words out, wild and free, and I was going to use the ampersand that came in the set as well, but it was just a bit big for what I wanted. So instead I've reached for some alphas. I think they're actually Hip Kit exclusive ones from a few months ago as well, and it's a lovely kind of mustard yellow colour which goes really well with some of the embellishments I've pulled out. And they're largely cactus themed as well, so I've got a couple of cactus, some roses, I think I've got a couple of, say, like looking sharp, just bits that all kind of remind me of cactus. So like I said, I've got that texture paste stenciling on the background, that's now dry, and I'm using a Magicals powder, or a couple of powders from the July Hip Kit colour kits. I love these, they're quite shimmery when they dry as well. And I'm kind of using a variation on the packaging technique here. I wanted to have quite a lot of control over where my mixed media went. So I've mixed the powder with some water on some empty packaging just to activate the powder, and then it works as kind of like a watercolour paint. And then I've screwed up some cling film. I think in the States you call it food wrap or film wrap. It's the stuff you wrap around food anyway. But I've taken some of that off, scrunched it up, done quite roughly, and then I'm just dabbing that down in the ink and straight onto my background. And it works almost exactly the same as the packaging technique, but like I said, it gives me a bit more control, which I really like. And I've just done that all around the outside edge. And then added a couple of splatters to finish that off, and just popped it to one side to dry slightly whilst I work on my photo. So I've added a white frame around my photo. I always like to map my photos on white. I print them at home, and I print 2 photos on a 6x4 sheet, so each one is 3x4, and then I always add a white frame. It just helps it sort of stand out from the background, gives it a bit of separation. I just think it finishes the photo nicely. I know a lot of people use a Canon selfie to print, and I think that automatically puts a white border on, but I just do it manually with some cardstock, and I also think that makes the photo a bit more rigid, because I don't find photo paper all that thick. So I just like to have that layer behind it, and then I'm adding a couple of layers of pattern papers behind it. Now I've added like a yellowish colour and then a nice floral paper, but as you can see here I put it back to front, and it had the blue showing, which I didn't want because there's not a lot of blue in my layout, and I don't know what I was thinking. So I've taken that off and then almost stuck it back down on the blue side. I was obviously doing this late at night and my brain wasn't quite in gear, but I finally got there, and I've got it now with that floral pattern showing, which just brings in a few more of the colours that are going to feature on the page, and just adds a nice pattern around the edge, sort of between my photo and my mixed media as well. And because I've added that foam behind my photo to raise it up, and I want my title to semi-overlap my photo, I just need to add a little bit of craft foam behind some of the letters on those chipboard words, and that's just to raise everything up so it's got all sort of sits flat and the letters have got some contact with my background. And this craft foam works perfectly for that. I buy it in A4 sheets, and it's adhesive on one side, so you just got to peel back the sticky paper, and then I can just apply some wet glue or double-sided tape or whatever I fancy to the other side. So really good stuff and really cheap as well, something I wouldn't be without in my craft room. I use loads of the stuff. And as you can see, I'm going to use it here as well, just to pop up loads of my embellishments, because I do like to have a lot of dimension and I like to layer things and cluster them together, so foam is fantastic for that. And I'm also using some of the tabby pop dots from Spiegelmum Scraps. I've got some of those left over from when I was on the design team last year, so they are fantastic as well. And I love the little tab that you can pull back on those, just makes life so much easier. Not have to get your nails underneath, which I find really frustrating. So yeah, tabby pop dots for the win. I love those things, and I've got loads left, thankfully. So using those whenever I can, just to make life a bit easier and quicker at the moment. So I'm building up a cluster there on the bottom right, as per the sketch by Jessie. I've got some chipboard pieces, some puffy stickers and some die cuts, all like I said, kind of cacti or cactus related, and a few florals there. And then I've got my title again, similar place to the sketch, and I'm just adding a couple more bits now. I've put a little kind of tab or fishtailed banner to the top right of my photo, just felt like I wanted something there. I'm just having a look through those hip kits now, just to see if there's any other small things I can add to my page. I'm going to add a couple of these kind of phrase or sentiment pieces here. These are chipboard as well. I really love these. I like adding small things to my pages. Once I've got kind of like the bulk of it done, I love to add small things here and there to just kind of add a little bit more detail and make it more interesting. And I'm kind of almost there now, but I get to this point and think, I really want to put something on that top left corner. Now there's nothing on the sketch in that top corner, but you know, you get artistic license, and sketches are there to inspire you and to use as a starting off point, and kind of inspire you and to see where they take you. So I've decided to add a little bit up to that to top left. So I'm going to add another yellow rose, because I've got a couple down on the bottom right of my photo, so that kind of like just carries that on to the top of the page as well. I've got repeated elements there. I've got another cactus puffy sticker that I'd like to use, and I'm just kind of figuring out how I want things to layer at the moment. And I've got a little pot there on the desk, you can see, with some talcum powder in, or baby powder, and I like to rub that on the back of embellishments. It's a little trick I learned from watching Missy Wooden's videos, and it just removes the sticky on things, so then I can move them around my page and have a play and kind of test things out and see where I like them without them getting stuck and then not being able to peel them back off to move them. So yeah, great tip there from Missy, is to use that talcum powder. It works like magic. But because I've got that mixed media behind all my elements at the bottom, I want to replicate that up the top in that small cluster as well. So I've just used the same stencil and some texture paste up in that top corner. I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to repeat that process with my mixed media using those Lindy's Magical powders and a little bit of water, and then I can build that small cluster. So here we go again. You literally only need a tiny amount of this powder. It is so pigmented, the tiniest bit goes a long way. So I just use this spatula there, or plastic palette knife, just to get a tiny bit out, pop it on my packaging, and then spritz a bit of water, and you can see how bold that colour is. They are fantastic, those products. I love those. Probably one of my favourite Lindy's products. Or maybe the Starburst sprays, because I do really like those as well. I love anything that shimmers and sparkles and is pretty. And these have got like almost a lovely goldish shimmer to them, this one, which goes really nicely with my colour scheme as well. So I've just added that to the top and dried it off with my heat gun, and now I'm just using some foam pads to build up that cluster up the top. So I've got some repeated items like the rose and the cactus, and then a little sentiment phrase as well. I think that's a puffy sticker, and then that is me done. So thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed the layout and the process. Thanks to Jessie for the sketch. I absolutely loved working with it today. In my description box below, you'll find a link to all the other ladies' channels. So there's a group of us that take part on Fridays. I haven't done it, like I said, for a long time. I'm hoping to get back into it a bit more now. But we all work from either a recipe or a sketch or a scrap lift, anything like that. But we all do the same thing every Friday. And it's interesting to see everybody's different interpretations and how things vary and things. So do pop down below and visit their channels as well, and like and subscribe and share the love, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? But thank you very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time.